Ah. They making new laws every day, and those of the master they throw away. The things they go about and preach, it's not what they teach, and no one seems to care. The whole world lives in fear, just despair everywhere.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna kullu Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. In the name of Allah, most gracious and most merciful. In the name of Almighty God, the beneficent and the merciful. The creator of our world and the creator of us. We give praise and thanks to God for keeping us alive and for bringing us together. So I greet my believing and my unbelieving brothers and sisters. To my Christian brothers and sisters, peace be unto you. To my Hindu brothers and sisters, namaste. To my Rastafarian brothers and sisters, Jah peace and Jah love. And to my Muslim brothers and sisters, and all other denominations, I greet you with the greetings of peace in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, we have a few tragedies. You know, when things happen in the world, it affects the whole world. 2 weeks ago, a Pakistani plane crashed in Karachi, killing over 100 people that were on board. You know, things like that, many of us don't hear about it because many of us has stopped reading. And sometimes when we look at the television, we just look at the soap operas and different kinds of movies, but we are not always interested in the news. But at this point in time in our lives, we are being attacked by a disease that is killing us. We need to keep ourselves up to date with what else is happening, because they're all linked, you know. We don't see at the time when it happens how it is linked, but they are all linked. And our sympathies go out to the families of the people that were in that crash. Over 100 people, and it's a Pakistani aircraft. We are also faced with, just a few days ago, the death or the murder of a black brother in a part of the United States that's called Minnesota. This brother was arrested unarmed by the police and handcuffed with his hands behind his back, so he couldn't defend himself, and then he was put face down on the ground. And a white police, kneeled on his neck. And even though the brother was saying, "I cannot breathe, I cannot breathe," nothing was done in terms of that policeman releasing the tension from his neck, so the brother died. Now, that's not the first time in the land of many dreams. And in the land where we all are trying to get to. It's not the first time that something like that has happened, because racism is still very prevalent in the United States of America. The sad part of it is when you're a policeman and you're supposed to uphold the laws and the rules and the regulations and to protect your citizens, and you can take it upon yourself to shoot someone because they're not of your nationality, and kill someone because they are not belonging to your clan. It's a very tragic affair. You know, racism is one of the worst things in this life. When you don't like a person or you can't stand a person because of the race that you attach them to, you know. And we find in years gone by, we've had race wars, you know, civil race wars. We had it in this country. We have experienced that in this country. Racial conflict where a lot of people died because of political disturbance. But this brother that was murdered by the police, we have to look at it as murder. That's no more an arrest, that's deliberate murder. And there is now a lot of protests going on over there, and people are asking for justice to be done. But like I said, it's not the first one. Last year, at the beginning of this year, and it's always where we find a white police killing an unarmed black person. It's very sad, you know, to try and understand the country that preaches about the American dream. That when we go to America, we can realize all our dreams. A country that portrays the American dream as something for all of us can experience such deliberate racism and murder by the hands of those who were put there to protect the same people that they are killing. But it shows you that the racism in the United States is not gone anywhere, and it is still there. We continue to experience these things, brothers and sisters, in the middle of a killer disease. Then here is someone who has lost their life, not by the disease, but by another disease, not by the coronavirus, but by another virus, the racist virus, the racism virus. It's also a virus, and many people have lost their lives because of that virus. But we want to extend our sympathies to the parents, the friends and family members of George Floyd. That is his name, George Floyd, who tragically lost his life because of racism in the police force in the state of Minnesota. We continue to see these things, to experience these things, and you know, it might look as if it's happened in America. It has nothing to do with us. But that is not so. We are very much influenced in our country by the American way of life. We are very much influenced by the technology that comes from America, and we are very much influenced by the behavior patterns of our American brothers and sisters. And those of us in this country, we have relatives who are there. We have family friends, we have family members who live there. And we have to be careful, and we have to be conscious about things like that when it happened. Because the gentleman that got murdered by the police, it could have been one of our relatives. Could have been a Guyanese in America, in Minnesota, and that could have happened to the person. So we have to be cognizant of these things when they happen, even though they are not happening here, but they're happening there. We still have to understand that it can affect us. The coronavirus, for example, when you take Guyana and USA, the amount of Guyanese that have died due to this killing bacteria, I call it the weapon of mass destruction, because it's destroying masses. And it is very rare that we find that viruses behave in a way like that. Not that people don't die from viruses, they do, but the mass in which these people are dying on the earth now due to this, I can only see it as a weapon of mass destruction. And so this weapon of mass destruction has killed more Guyanese in other parts of the world than it has killed in Guyana. Now one might say it's because they're not being tested enough and so on. It's all kind of, whatever it might say, whatever is being said, it doesn't really matter. The fact is right now that there are only, as far as we have been able to hear, only 11 deaths concerning the killer bacteria, the weapon of mass destruction, what is being called a virus. And outside of Guyana, many Guyanese have passed away that are not living in Guyana but are living there. So what I want to show you is that we are not separated from the disasters and tragedies in the world. Okay, the coronavirus has, as they call it, the killer, I call it, like I said, the weapon of mass destruction, has eliminated quite a lot of people in the world. So that is affecting the complete planet, all the countries on this planet. There is a reason and a season for everything. And the season for the weapon of mass destruction, the corona weapon of mass destruction, the season for that is right now. But like I said before, is that we know Almighty God has revealed who is responsible for the manufacturing of this deadly disease, this deadly bacteria, this weapon of mass destruction, this killer. God has revealed to many of us who it is and where it's coming from. And we have heard that it has been said that their endings will be worse than their beginnings. You see, there are people who don't believe that there is a God. There are people who mock at other people who believe in God. You know? It's like if those of you who know a little bit about the Christian religion and the crucifixion of Christ. When he was to be crucified, when he was on the cross, what did they say to him? Let your God help you now. Go ahead, let your God. And Jesus said to them, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. But it just shows you, the people who are saying that are people who are not people who believe in God. So there are those of us who don't believe in God, who don't worship a God, who worship money, who worship power, who worship oppression. There are those who do that. And so they can sit down, get together, and plan evil. Make and fabricate a weapon of mass destruction that they can allow to escape, deliberately escape. You hear when people escape, and people escape deliberately? Deliberately escape so that their power can be shown as to how dangerous they are and how frightened we must be. So we have to mask up, and we have to sanitize up, and we have to do all those things so that the people, the satanic and evil forces that have constructed this COVID-19 can feel powerful and strong, because they have been able to destroy people's lives, destroy the lives of families, and destroy the whole running of our societies. But like I always say to you, brothers and sisters, this is what God has told us: fear not. Do not fear. For God has never given us a spirit of fear. We have been created with a spirit of defense. We have been created with a spirit that is ready to defend us at all times. And if we get afraid, then the spirit within us is left alone to fight the battle. So we must understand and know that what we are facing in terms of this weapon of mass destruction that is called the virus, we must know that once we know the source, where it's coming from, how it is manufactured, and what's the purpose of it, it can be defeated, and it will be defeated. And it is being defeated. You know, because sometimes when you plan things for others, those plans turn around and return to you yourself who have planned it. So as we remember the people who are dying, and next door to us has become a disastrous type of plague, because I understand in Brazil it's about nearly 26,000 people who are dead. In the United States, it's over 100,000 right now. And one still, you know, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time. And those who want to fool us and still want to make us believe that this is a medical virus that is attacking us, they can fool some of the people some of the time. But they will never be able to fool all of the people all of the time, because there are many of us who understands how a virus behaves and how a weapon of mass destruction behaves. We know the difference. we understand the difference. We are trained to know the difference. And we are seeing. One of the organizations here, the Pan American Health Organization, declared about 2 months ago that we would have, since the end of last month, 20,000 deaths. But by the grace of Almighty God, that prophecy, which did not come from a prophet, has still not realized itself. And we ourselves, there are those of us who are applying ourselves. We're not waiting for a vaccine, and we're not waiting to be fed any of the chemical drugs that they are trying out, experimenting on. There are those traditional drugs that we have that people are using. And you know, there's this way where we are being told that people are not coming for the test. People are not doing the test. You might feel that people are not doing the test. People are testing themselves. Don't feel that people cannot test themselves. That you have to test the people and the people cannot test themselves. We have been testing ourselves for centuries. Before antibiotics, before Tylenol, before paracetamol, before all these different drugs, we have been having our traditional medicine, herbs, plants that our foreparents have been using, and they have been testing themselves. There are many of us who knows and have an idea according to what is being told to us concerning this so-called virus. We have an idea. And there are many of us who have been preventing ourselves from being contaminated with this evil, nasty killer that is upon us. And we know the symptoms, and we have an idea of how to deal with the symptoms. Our foreparents and our great-grandparents had an idea how to deal with the symptoms before this type of conventional medicine was implemented. And we still know, for the world of herbs, the world of herbal medicine and holistic treatment, the world of homeopathy, it's a world by itself, a world that a lot of conventional medical practitioners know nothing of. And yet still, they take it upon themselves to condemn the practice of traditional medicine. And it is that is helping and taking care and preventing a lot of our people here from contracting this so-called deadly disease. You see, once we are cognizant of what we have and we understand that God has given us the remedy and the solution for whatever illnesses should attack us, we have been given it. It's in different countries, they are the different herbs. Some of them are the same as we have here. And if we take into consideration what China said when this virus was in full swing, they introduced their traditional medicine. The Chinese traditional medicine was introduced in helping to get rid and to sustain the health of the people in China. But we, on this side, all we do, and all our practitioners, our medical practitioners who are ignorant of the traditional medical practice, all they do is to condemn, and they continue to condemn. I heard an interview with one of them from the health ordinance here in our country, condemning the use of traditional medicine, and with the excuse all the time that the traditional practitioners have got no idea of the dosage that is supposed to be used. Well, let me tell you something. There is data for all the doses of any of the medicines that we give or that we administer in terms of herbs. I have been working with herbal medicine for the past 35 years. And I could tell you, due to my experience and the experience of other brothers and sisters who continue to push this medicine as a primary health care. You know, this is what should be our primary health care, so that we do not have to import and pay for in large sums from money that we don't even make to bring in drugs that are not necessary for the health and the welfare of our people. All the drugs that are right now being tried out are not here. We have no particular drugs here to combat the virus except our traditional drugs. And if through ignorance practitioners have nothing else to do but to decry the medicines that God has given us, because if we want to really look at it in a manner that is profound, then we look at it in this form, that the medicine, the herbal medicine, the plants, the flowers, the fruits, they're all medicinal. They all have their medicinal values. The watermelon, for example, the seed of the watermelon, the grape seed, you know, all these different, the pumpkin seed, you know, all of these are medicines. Medicines that are, to a very great extent, not known about their effectiveness in the conventional world. But because of this traditional medicine that we have, that they call alternative medicine, I see nothing that is alternative about it. Whatever was here originally could never be alternative. The herbs, the plants, the fruits, all the medicinal values of the trees, the barks, all these different medicinal, valuable medicines, all of them have been here before the alternative medicine came. And that's the allopathic drugs. And those allopathic drugs, those same medicines, that the aspirin, the Panadol, the Tylenol, the antibiotics, you know, all of them, they must not be decried. They are of use. But then, do not try and belittle your mother and your father, because your mother and your father are the traditional herbs. Honor thy mother and thy father, so that thy days may be long. You have to honor the herbs, the trees, the plants, the fruits, and everything that God has given. The soursop, for example. You know, all of these things needs to be honored. That's the mother and father of the conventional drugs. So honor thy mother and father, so that thy days may be long. You see, they're refusing. But the thing is, in this country right now, concerning this so-called virus, the protection of the people of this country are their herbs, their traditional medicines. You go into nearly every home right now in this country, and you will find that everybody got their little herbs there. You know, their little this, and they're mixing it, and they're drinking this, and they're using it, and it is helping. It is nothing more than that, right? The whole thing is quarantine yourself, walk 6 feet away from each other. That's all well and good. We're not saying anything about that. But what we are saying is that the herbs and the barks and the fruits and the plants are helping our people to survive this virus that is here. That's what we're saying. So don't base your thing only on the mask, on the sanitizing and the washing of hands and staying away from your people who you love. That's not based on all of that. That's just a part of what you think should be done. But there's the other part, where people are protecting themselves and practicing protective medicine. That's what we are practicing. And because of that practice, there are many of our brothers and sisters who are not contracting the virus, along with what they are being told. They're washing their hands and sanitizing. Not everybody wants to wear a mask. Wearing a mask is not as healthy as we think it is, because of the act of breathing, especially among the elderly. The act of breathing in and out foul air, carbon dioxide. For elderly people, it's a problem. It's also a problem of blood circulation. For when you are supposed to inhale and breathe in pure oxygen, and having on a mask, you're not getting the pure oxygen. You're getting some of what you're breathing out, which is foul air. So it's contributing, that type of division of air, oxygen, it's interfering with the circulation of the blood. And a lot of people, elderly people, like I said, even some younger people, have difficulty in breathing properly when they wear a mask. You see? So it's not anything that people don't want to do, but it has its advantages and its disadvantages. And its disadvantages are as much as its advantages. So I think one must be able to use their discretion and understand the health benefits and the health dangers that we have in wearing the mask. But still, brothers and sisters, it's a way of being careful. Nobody should prevent anyone from wearing it, but then nobody should be forced to wear it. Arrested because you're not wearing it. Walking in the night, trying to get to your home, and because you're on the street after a certain hour, you're arrested for being on the street late. Your freedom is taken away from you because we are afraid. Afraid of who? Afraid of what? What we are told is a virus. You know, that's what we are told. We're afraid of what we are told is a virus. What we understand here in our community as a deadly weapon of mass destruction. The superpowers are at war, and so weapons are being used. And those of us who have nothing really to do with it are in the middle of the disaster, and we are being caught all over the world, all over the planet, having to deal with a weapon that is destroying us, destroying our children, destroying our parents, destroying our families, and then it is being called a virus. Brothers and sisters, do what they tell you to do, but don't do as they do. I tell it to you every week. For it's not everything that they are doing, as they are doing, that is considered beneficial for us and the welfare of our children and our friends and families. But our sympathies and condolence go out to all the people who are losing their loved ones and losing their own lives because of fear. Fear not. At this point in time, those of us who believe and have faith, we must develop it in a stronger manner, because that is the only way. We develop that faith. We must have our faith. We must believe in our strength and in our faith, and we must use the medicines that we find that our God has given us. There are many. Those of you who are interested can inquire in our clinic. I can't stand here and tell you all the medicines that can be used, but there are many different mixtures of medicinal plants and herbs and barks that can be used as a preventative cure from you contracting the virus. You know, the Back Your Health movement is in Triumph next to the Republic Bank. You can always visit us. 220-2254, you can always call for information and we will give it to you. For we understand that we are in a war of wars. There's a war going on. The weapon of mass destruction is being used in that war, and we have to now use our weapons, which is our traditional medicines, our traditional herbs, our homeopathic herbs, our holistic herbs, and we have to look at the way we eat and the way we drink, the way we nourish our bodies, so that we will have an immune system that is strong enough to hit any virus, because our immune system has been made and created to withstand any virus, anyone. We have it. We only have to know how to nourish it. And since we have got conventional medicines, you know, you get a headache, you drink a Tylenol. You know, you get a pain, you drink a Panadol or a paracetamol, you know. Because we have those things, we have always been neglecting the original medicines that God has given us. But now is the time to use it, because they have no drugs to counteract the so-called COVID-19. They don't have a cure. They don't have a vaccine that they are promising us. You don't need the vaccine. You need the herbs that God has given you, and it's there. They are there to be used. And those who do not know should shut up. You know, should just shut up if you don't know. And those who continue to try and influence others into telling them, don't go to the herbalist, don't use that medicine that the herbalists are giving you, or, you know, because they don't know the dosage. You think that we don't know the dosage. That's your thoughts. You know, your thoughts of ignorance that do not know clearly what the medicine does, how it is to be used as a treatment, and that we don't know the dosage. You know, it's always trying, as usual, discrimination against what we do not know. And they know that they do not know. And because they do not know, they discriminate. But brothers and sisters, you use your traditional medicine. You fight the coronavirus with your traditional medicine. Don't be afraid. There are herbs that can be used along with your diet. It's very important for you to be able to keep the body in such a state that it is able to work, that the immune system is able to work. You know, when you are sick and you're using medicines, taking tablets and different drugs, what you do is, you do not give the immune system a chance to work. You know, we get the flu, and what we do? We start drinking all kinds of, you know, tablets for the flu. You know, they got some for the flu in the day and some for in the night. You know, the night flu tablet and the day flu tablet. So when you take the tablets, then you do not allow your immune system to work, because you have something else doing the work that the immune system is supposed to do, right? When you sit down and you eat wrong foods, when you drink wrong drinks, you know, when you think wrong things, all these different things, when you plan nasty things, and all those things interfere with the immune system. So at a time like this, one has to clean the system, get rid of all the junk that you've been putting in your system, and prepare to fight the virus by using your traditional medicines and using the right type of diet. It's very, very important at this point in time to keep your body going, and you stay away from some of the junk that you're accustomed to eating. Because when the body has to work to digest the junk, then the immune system again has to continue to work along with that body. And then the virus has a chance, you know, or the weapon of mass destruction has a chance to interfere with us. Prayers, right nourishment, and your traditional medicines. Visit your traditional medical practitioners. They are all over. Pick out those who you think are good enough, visit them, take their advice, and use the medicines. Because that's all we are using here. Traditional medicines to help us to prevent ourselves from being attacked by Satan, because that's what he is. That's what this so-called virus is, Satan. And so we are here preventing ourselves from Satan attacking us by using what God has given us, the natural products of God, in order to withstand the terror that is upon us due to the fact that those who have manufactured it and those who have allowed it to escape are in a war among themselves to find out who is the strongest among the mighty. But we will see, because as I said, their endings will be worse than their beginnings. For every life that has been lost through this virus, they will have to pay for it, one after the other.
Man create his own monster, weapons of damnation and disaster, no sign at all of human rights. Today has turned into night. Is racialism so, and segregation so? Which way is left to go? I don't know. Oh Lord, tell me, what about love thy neighbor? Tell me, what about he ain't heavy, he's my brother? Nobody cares a damn anymore. All they got on their mind is war.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. You know, we are still facing our political disaster, you know, that is upon us, and that seems to be upon us for a long time. We are here trying to exist and uphold some of the values of our lives for ourselves and for our children. For our next generation, we are trying. And we are met now with those from among us. It's not people from outside, it's people from among us who are supposed to be our protectors, who are supposed to be our role models for our children. And we are faced with the disaster of them and their mannerisms being inordinate and not friendly for the development of our society. You know, I started out speaking about George Floyd that was murdered by the white police in America. And it's true racism. That gentleman was killed because of racism. Something that we have in this country, something that is boiling. The pot of racism is boiling. Every day, there's a little bit more fire that's being put to help it boil. And we are going in that direction. And it's a very sad type of direction. But the thing is that those of us who believe and who have faith, we are standing strong. And we are sure. Allah has said He has made the word of God for those who are sure. We are sure that there is going to be a way that will be found, not by those who are quarreling, not by those who are arguing, but by those who are not seen. Allah has said, we have made this Quran for the unseen, for those who believe in the unseen. That is what God has said. And this is time for those who are supposed to be Muslims to believe in the unseen. Because what we are seeing is not what is there to protect us. We have made this Quran for those who believe in the unseen, for those who worship and say their prayers and do good to others and love each other and look out for each other. We have made this. And right now it is important for those of you who are supposed to be Muslims and believing men and women of this faith. I can't speak for the others, but I speak for you. I can speak to you. That you cannot believe in the seen. Because what we are seeing in terms of an election that was run, what we are seeing is not what is healthy for us. And there are many people right now in our country who cannot sleep at night. The future of their children, the elderly who cannot get their pension, the sick people who are unable to be treated, the children who cannot go to school. That is what we are seeing. Allah says, believe in the unseen. And this is a time where we have to really put our faith and trust in the unseen. This is a time where we don't live by our eyes, but we live by faith. We don't live by what we see, but we live by faith. For we know that the confusion, the electoral confusion, is not coming out of any plans that were good. Because if there were plans that were good, then we would be feeling the goodness. You know, you can have arguments, you can have discussion, and you can have arguments that are good for the benefit of people, of the people. And once they are good, the people will feel the goodness of what is happening. But what we are feeling is just the evil. We're just feeling the evil of what's going on. And it's not fair to us. It's not fair. It's not honorable. It's distasteful that we continue to bear the brunt of evil. Brothers and sisters, I have asked during the month of Ramadan, and that month is now gone, and I am hoping that those who have fasted and who have prayed, because I'm sure that many of us have prayed for a solution to the evil that is facing us. Because when you hear people speak about other people, when you hear leaders speak about other leaders, when you hear so-called parties speak about other parties, and you hear the languages that are being used, then you know that it's not coming from good. And we can only depend upon what is good. For it's only good that will conquer evil, and God is good, and the unseen is good. So we need to believe and have faith in the unseen, and we need to understand that as long as we keep that, good will conquer the evil. And those who still feel that they will champion the cause of the people, because we are forsaken as a people. We don't even have a proper constitution. We have a recount that we don't know when it's going to end and how it is going to end, but God knows. That is why we have to have faith. We must have faith in something to exist, and we can't have faith in what's going on there, the people who are dealing there. We can't have faith. So we must have faith in something to take us out, and our children especially, and our grandchildren, out of this misery. Because sometimes, brothers and sisters, when I look at the political disaster, and I look at the weapon of mass destruction that they're calling a virus, I wonder which one is worse. But we are faced with both. We are faced with both. And so there is, where do we turn? We turn this way, it's the virus. We turn this way, it's the political disaster and the evil that is going on. Where do we turn? We can only turn to our Creator. We can only turn to Almighty God, that will strengthen us, that will give us the strength to overcome the so-called COVID-19 and to overcome the political virus 20. So let us continue to have that faith. Do what they tell you to do, but don't do as they do. You see, one of the things that the mask does to me, it prevents me from speaking, and I have to talk. So I have a problem wearing it. But I'm not telling you don't wear it. You go ahead and wear it. It's quite all right. I know the dangers, and I know the benefits of wearing a mask like that. And I do not condemn anyone that doesn't wear it. But the least that we can do in order to do as they do is wash our hands and sanitize them. That's okay. But I don't think any one of us should be forced to wear a mask, and I think that our laws and our legal protectors need to be more lenient. And if people are on the street a little bit late, you know, you can ask them the necessary questions, and once you find out that they're not walking the road just because they feel to walk, then they should be allowed to go their way and not be arrested. These things, brothers and sisters, you know, is destroying. Are we going to allow COVID-19 to destroy us, to destroy our families, separating ourselves from our families? not being able to gather with our friends, not being able to go to weddings, to our own weddings. Who is this? You know, look, brothers and sisters, for those of you who have faith, continue, keep the faith. Keep the faith, keep the strength, and keep up the fight. For there is no virus that is strong enough to beat you when you are not afraid. And God has told us, fear not. And that's all I can tell you as well, fear not. Do what you want to do, but be careful. But don't be afraid. Because the truth is the truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Assalamu alaikum. Practical experience is the greatest teacher. Memory is the greatest truth. And ungratefulness is the greatest sin.
Breaking down is a whole big runaround. A lot of talk is what goes on, while the world is left to mourn. Starvation taking toll, weapons out of control. The atmosphere is cold, so cold. Oh Lord, tell me, what about love thy neighbor? Tell me, what about he ain't heavy, he's my brother. Nobody cares a damn anymore. All they got on their mind is war. Tell me, what about equal rights and justice? Tell me, what about peace and happiness? Hey! They're making new laws every day.